Hi, welcome to this third video about the business model canvas. In this video I will be going over the 9 building blocks of the model. When I go through the 9 elements of the model, I'll do it in a way that makes it possible for you to use the walkthrough more or less one-to-one when you need to conduct an analysis of an organization. I'll go through the elements one by one and provide suggestions for strategies and perspectives, along with examples of organizations that use this way of thinking in their business. So you can therefore use the perspectives as headlines and the framework to build your own analysis. So let's try and dive into the 9 building blocks, and the first of them, which is about the customers. So customers or customer segments is about who are the typical buyers of the organization's products or service. And buyers here could also be understood as users of a service. There can be various strategies. One can be mass market, which is sort of a one-size-fits-all strategy. We know that from IKEA, for example. You can also have niche market strategies. This would be the opposite. One size doesn't fit all. So for instance, spare parts for cars. If you are a company that is producing spare parts for Tesla cars, well then of course only the Tesla service shops would be within your customer segment. You can also have various customer segments. You can have a segmented strategy. So this means that you could have, for instance, both private and corporate customers. So we know this from the terms of B2C and B2B. B2C means business to consumer. So this is the private customers. You sell directly from a business to the consumer. But you can also have business that is selling their products or services to other businesses, and this is a business-to-business strategy. So an example of this could be the banking sector, where we know in a bank we both have private customers, but we also have corporate or business customers of a bank. But it's still a bank, and it's still bank customers, but it's various segments of customers within their banking business. You could have a customer strategy that is differentiated. So you sort of have several businesses under the same brand. So an example of this could be Amazon. They started out by being a web shop. I think they started out by selling books actually, and then they sold various goods on the platform. And then the platform expanded and they had to work on their server technology to make sure that the server could hold up with all of the customers and all the products. And at some point the server technology became so good that they started selling the server technology to other businesses who also want to build web shops and other things. So now they have both private customers who is buying the products on the Amazon platform, but they also have business customers who is buying their server technology. We also see multifaceted platforms. An example of this could be job databases. On one hand, you need on a job database for this service to work, you need the job seekers, you need the private customers to go into the platform and seek the jobs, but you also need to work with the companies that is putting in the job posts on the platform. So if you don't have any job seekers in the system, it's not really a relevant system for the companies to post their jobs in there. But on the other way around, if you don't have any customers or business customers and any jobs in there, then it's not relevant for the job seekers to go in there. So you need to work multifaceted on different kinds of customer segments to make this platform to work. Next up, we have value or value proposition. So this is about the value that the organization offers to the customers. So you could think about what problems do you help the customer solve, or which customer needs are you trying to fulfill? So example of strategies of value propositions could be news value. So come and buy the new robotic lawnmower. You can also have performance value. So this would be the better lawnmower instead of the new lawnmower. You could have individual adaptation, so a product that is adaptable to each individual. An example could be the service of a physiotherapy, where the service or the product, so to speak, is very individualized. Also, you could have a strategy about getting the job done. So for instance, the window cleaner, it's not about that it's new or it's performing better, but it's about getting the job done, and that I don't like to clean my windows, so I can get someone else to do it. So you make it easy for me to have my windows clean. You can also have a strategy about design. We know that from companies like Apple or B&O. We could also have a strategy about brand or status. We know that from Rolex watches. They are not necessarily the best watches if you look at the specifications compared to the price, but it has some sort of status and brand value that people are wearing these watches. You can also have a strategy about price. So often this means that you want to hit the lowest price, more or less opposite to the Rolex strategy. So an example of this could be EasyJet or any of the other low price air companies, where they try to cut off all of the unnecessary thing, and they say, well, this is not necessarily the best or the most luxurious ride, but we make sure that it's the cheapest vacation you can go at. You can have a strategy about cost reduction, so that you are helping others reducing their costs. So an example could be recruiting companies who are helping companies to recruit new employees. So if you don't have a big HR department in your company, it can be very expensive to build these sorts of competencies and skills. You need to find out what sort of employees are we looking for. You need to make the job post. You need to interview the candidates and so on. And all of this is very expensive. So recruiting companies who are specialized in this can do it probably also better, but also quicker and cheaper than if you do it yourself. So you are helping me reducing my cost. A value could also be reducing risk. So for instance, we see service guarantees when buying a car. We have all of the new electric cars where the buyers are very afraid of this giant battery that's in the car. And if that would suddenly stop working, because then it's sort of more or less the engine of the car, then the car can't go anywhere. But then we see that a lot of the companies are offering long guarantees on the batteries. You can also have a strategy about availability. So Netflix is available. It's a way of making movies and series available easy. In Denmark, we also have a company called GoMore, which is offering car rental between private people. So usually car rental companies are in the airports and near the big train stations in the big cities. But here they offer a service that makes it available to rent a car basically more or less anywhere in the country that you're at. So you don't have to go to the big cities. A strategy could also be to make it convenient or very usable, very easy to use. So we know that from Google Maps or maybe also from Apple's platforms that it's very easy to use. You can't adjust a lot of settings, but it's very easy to use. It's free to download Google Maps to your phone. It's easy to make work. Everyone knows how to use Google Maps. So it's convenient. It's very usable. And lastly, we have one that is a bit different than the other value propositions, which is the experience. So for instance, a cultural offer, a museum, cultural institutions like that, they offer not necessarily something that is new or is about performance or is about getting anything done or getting status or brand value, but it's about an experience. So it's a completely different way of thinking value. This is just examples of strategies, and usually companies you would see that they don't only have one strategy for value proposition, but probably it's a mix of more of these strategies. So try to look at the company. Who are the customers and what value are they trying to provide these customers? Is it news value? Is it about performance? Is it about price? What is it about? Next up, we have channels. So as the little truck on the visualization is showing, the channel strategy or the channel block is about how does the organization communicate with the customer and deliver the value. So this is both about communication with the customer, but also distribution and sales to the customers. And there could be different types of channels. You can have your own channels, you can have partners, who is providing some of these channels, and you can have direct and indirect channels. So there are some perspectives we can put to this. First of all, we need awareness about our product, our service. So this could be about advertising, it could be word of mouth, it could be use of influencers, and so on. We need to make awareness about our brand or our product. Then we need evaluation. We need that the customer has some sort of way of validating that one thing is that you are saying your product is the best, but how does the customer validate that this is true, or that they believe it is true, that they want to buy the product? Examples could be the Trustpilot platform, where people can rate different companies and different products. We also see a lot of tests and best in test, buy the best television, the best phone, the best car, whatever. So once the customer is aware of your product, they have evaluated and validated, they want to buy it, you need to make sure that they can buy it. So this could be via web shops, physical stores, different ways of getting the buy done. Then you need to deliver the product, and this could again also be very different. If it's a web shop, you need some freight services to get the product over to the customer. Maybe they need to go to a store, they need to go to some kind of shop to pick it up. If it's a service, maybe you or your company need to go there to provide the service, to clean the windows, to paint the walls, whatever it is. And then also last, when the product has been bought and has been delivered, there's an after-sales perspective. So how do you communicate with the customer after the sale has been done? What is your setup for this? Do you have support channels? Do you have a help center? Do you have a chat bot? Whatever is, do you have a 24-hour phone that you can always call and get some help, or whatever is the setup here, and what is the level of support? So those were the channels. Then we also have the customer relationships. And this is about how the organizations interact with the customers. And this is both before, during, and after delivery of the value or the service. So how do you establish and maintain a good customer relationship? Strategies for this could be the personal service. You can call your phone company and you can get personal service. They know who you are, they can look up your phone number, see who you are, how long you've been in the company, what sort of services you have bought from them. But you also see allocated personal services, and this is where we hear the term of a key account manager. So if you call your phone company, you will get to talk to a person, it's personal service, but if you call up again the next day, it will be another person. So the allocated personal service means that it will be the same person each time you call the company, or the same group of people, which means that they know you and they know your products, they know what it is you want, they know how you're using all of their services. And this is probably more seen within business-to-business relationships, where big businesses who is buying a lot from the phone companies, for instance, then will probably have a key account manager taking care of their part of the business. Then, instead of personal service, we can see the more impersonal service, which could be self-service, so you don't have a direct relationship, but you make sure that people can service themselves on your platform, for instance. We have automated services, so this could be sort of simulated personal strategy, but it's not personal because there's no people involved. So, for instance, if you go to a web shop, you log in with your account and you make some buys, then they will start to recommend items to you, either because of your previous buys or because they know that people who bought this television also usually bought these cables or whatever, and they can recommend things to you. But it's so you can get the experience that you are getting recommendations from a person, so it's personalized service, but it's just an algorithm looking at all the data, so it's simulated personal. A strategy could also be to build communities. We see that in some companies making customer clubs, making Facebook groups, and so things like that. So you can interact both with the customers, but also the customers can interact with each other and build some value in that way, and share some ideas and some tips and tricks for how to use your products. And then lastly, we have co-creation, where you invite the customers into helping for instance, review a book or giving feedback on new products or existing products, how to help you further develop your products. It can also be by getting ideas from the customers or sending them a survey where they can talk about their experience, so you can improve the customer experience or whatever. So you invite the customer in to co-create your business further. Yes, and of course, again, these strategies are different and you don't have to use all of them depending on the company. And then the last block of this right side of the business model canvas is the income or the revenue streams. So how is income generated in this organization or in this company? And again, there could be various ways that income is coming in, or very different strategies also. So we can see that sales of assets, of course, so sales of physical products, you do a sale, you deliver a product, they pay up for that. You can also have usage fee, so pay per minute. So parking, for instance, is an example of that you pay something, but you don't get a product as such. You get a service, which is you're allowed to park there. We also see a lot of subscription fees in gyms, in streaming services, and so on. It can also be rent or leasing services. It could be licensing. That's very much used in the music industry and creative industries. You can get income from brokers' fees. So, for instance, credit card companies or stockbrokers, they don't sell a product, but they help you to sort of get something done, and then they take a fee for doing it for you. It can also be advertising. So not that you are advertising, that would probably be an expense, but if other people are allowed to advertise on your platforms or at your locations, then you can get some money from these ads. And lastly, funding and donation. So sometimes companies, they are trying to get some incomes from different kind of funding, either private or corporate or whatever. But funding is a big part of some organizations. So, for instance, the university is broadly funded by funding, you could say. So, some of our income at the university would be by research projects that are funded from different places. So, I hope that makes sense. And by this is the conclusion of the right side of the model, which is about the customer experience, the value creation, and all of this. And next we will look at the left side. So now we've been looking at the right side of the model, of the business model canvas. And now we will look into the left side, which is about the organization's infrastructure. So all of the blocks here is about how we make sure that we can create the value that we're trying to create, and how we can make sure it is delivered to the customers. So the first part of this is resources. So what are the key resources that we need to be able to provide the value that we're trying to provide? So what sources I need to create the desired value? So the perspectives here could be physical resources, production, buildings, vehicles, machines, and so on. We can also have intangibles like brands, patents, knowledge and copyrights, customer databases, and so on. We could have human resources. So this could be that we need a certain amount of employees, that we need certain qualifications or experience. And this could be very different from company to company. So for instance, at a university, we would need researchers with qualifications within this to do the research and to make sure that we can have a university going. At other companies, research wouldn't be a part of it, but they would need other sorts of qualifications. Maybe they need salespeople to sell the product and so on. Also, a key resource can be financial, a certain amount of liquidity, certain credit options. How is it able for you to get credit in the bank, for how long, does it cost you, and so on. what liquidity, what are the terms when you sell something to either private customers or business customers, and so on. What are the terms here? What are the resources necessary? Then we have key activities. So what activities must be executed to create the desired value? Again, there could be production, that we need to design and manufacture some goods. It can be problem solving. So key activities can be problem solving. We know this from consultancy companies, for instance. They don't manufacture a product, but their service and therefore their key activities is problem solving. We also know it from hospitals. So at a hospital, the key activities would be knowledge and knowledge sharing and education, because they need to keep up to speed with all of the new things, all of the new diseases, all of the new equipment, all of the new drugs, and so on. And then last perspective here about key activities is about platform or network development. So an example here could be eBay. So eBay, the core of their business is their platform. So they will need to develop and operate and maintain this platform. If the platform crashes, then they have no service at all. So that's a key activity for eBay, to develop the platform or the network that they are driving in their business. Then we have the key partners. So who are the organization's most important business partners? All organizations have business partners, and the degree to which this is true is just a matter of what kind of organization you're looking at. But all sorts of organizations have some sort of partnerships. So there can be some perspective about optimizing and economies of scale. If they want to scale their product, they need subcontractors. Maybe they are outsourcing some of their services, some of their products. It can be a matter of reduction of risk and uncertainty. So for instance, business partnerships. In Denmark, we have a company called Worksum, which is working with freelancers. So as a freelancer, if you go to take a job at a company, there's a lot of risk involved. You need to make sure the contracts are correct. You need to make sure insurance is in order. You need to make sure that you get your money when you send your invoice, and you need a system to send the invoice and a system to handle tax and all of that. So Worksum is a platform that is providing all of that for you. So if you're a freelancer, you can go to Worksum, pay them a small fee, and then they will take care of all of this for you. And you just need to focus on the job that you need to do for the company as a freelancer. But Worksum will take care of contract, they will take care of insurance, they will make sure you get your money and all of this. Your tax is paid and all of this is done for you. So this is reducing both the risk as a freelancer, but also is it reducing the uncertainty. So this could be a key partner to a freelancer, would be a platform like Worksum. We also have perspective about acquisition of certain resources and activities that is needed to provide the service you want to provide. So, for instance, if you are producing a phone that is running Android or a computer that is running Chrome OS, today a lot of televisions also have both Android and Chrome OS systems built into them. Well, this means that you need to partner up with, I think it's Google who is making both of them, to make sure that they maintain the platform, that they don't change the system so it doesn't work with your device, and so on. So a key partner in this will be a company like Google. KMD is a company who is providing a lot of different software and software services, basically. And at the university, as an example, a key partner for us would be KMD, because as a government-funded university, we are. It's demanded that we do a lot of journalizing and a lot of record management, and we need a system to make sure we do this the proper way and it's safe and secure. And KMD is the company who is providing this record management system for us. So. For the university, KMD becomes a key partner because we need to make sure that they are developing this platform, they are maintaining it, and it doesn't crash and all of this. Yeah, so I hope this makes sense. And then the last part of the left side of the model about the infrastructure is different cost structures of a company. So what cost do the organization have? And this could be very different, and as it is stated in the perspective, some of the cost would be fixed and is more or less always the same. So this could be salary, rent, costs for electricity, and so on. But some of them could also vary depending on your service and your sales and how the year is going. So this is why the first perspective is about cost-based. So it could be, if you have a low cost value proposition, you probably want to outsource a lot and you want to maximize automation. It can be value-based. So luxury hotels, for instance, they know that what they are providing, the value proposition, is not about them being cheap, but it's about they have the best product or the more luxurious product. But it also means that they have a lot of expenses to make that go on, and it also means that they will need to take a high price for the product. Then we have the fixed cost, and we have variable costs. So depending on the quantity of good, it can vary. So if you have a web shop, if you don't sell a lot from the web shop, you don't have a lot of income, but you also don't have a lot of expenses. But the more you sell, the more you would need to pay up for freight, for delivering the goods. You will also need to buy in more goods and so on. So yeah, this is why it becomes variable. You can also see economies of scale as a cost structure, meaning that usually the more you buy, the cheaper it becomes. So this is why some companies try to make bulk purchases and to get discounts from their partnerships and from their suppliers. And again, this can vary because you would need a certain customer base to make the large buy-ins. And if you make large buy-ins, you also need a lot of storage capacity, and this becomes an extra expense and so on. So again, it can vary depending on it. And then we have the synergy benefits, where some of these different perspectives can work in synergy with each other. So this concludes the left side of the model, the organization's infrastructure. So now we have looked at the right side about the customer perspective and the value proposition and the income, and we have the left side. So now I've been looking at the whole business model canvas and the 9 building blocks. And the good question for you is now, with what and how can I contribute? So this means, how can you contribute to the organization, to their business model, and to the value that they are trying to create for their customers? This means that you need to understand who are the customers, what value are they trying to provide, and so on. So you can also see yourself as a business, and then with the language of the business model canvas, ask yourself, what is my value proposition for this organization? If they were my customers, then what is the value that I could help them, that I could provide for them, and that I can help them sort of achieve? So you can use the tool to understand the business. You can use the tool also to sort of interview a business. So if you want to have a dialogue with a company, it could be at a job interview or an interview about an internship or whatever, or maybe you just met them at a networking fair, or you are calling them because you're curious. Then you could have made a short analysis up front and then ask them, saying, well, I've been trying to understand your business, but I'm a bit doubtful about some of your customer segments, or I'm trying to understand who are your partners, what sort of partnerships do you have to be able to do all of this that you are doing, or whatever. Also try to see yourself into the model when you've analyzed a company. So where are your skills, your preferences, your interest? Is it to the right side of the model in terms of customer relationships, maybe evaluation of the customers, communication channels, and so on? Or maybe your skills and interests are more to the left side of the model in terms of some of the key activities, resources, partnerships, and so on. So it's really a good tool to help you understand the business and to sort of qualify your dialogue with a business. So when we're looking at business models in general, we don't look at them in 3D like we do here in this video and with this visualization. So imagine that you took an iron and put over this, you will get a 2D canvas instead. It's the same categories, it's the same structure, it's the same way of thinking about it, but sort of just looks a bit different. So this makes it's possible to print out, so you can print it on paper and do some doodling. You can work on it on your computer. And also, when you see the examples that we have made, it's also in this 2D canvas. So I hope this is a help for you in terms of understanding the canvas and working with the canvas in terms of business understanding.